So I have been really having a hard time at work lately. Like people who are really key partners to me have suddenly started a lot of crap that, just something in their department or something's blowing up and it's coming back into the relationship that I have with them and impacting my work. And let's see, I'm encountering a lot of questionable support from my boss right now who normally is pretty hands off, but when he gets involved, he doesn't really dig into the situation enough to give me the right direction or support sometimes, right? It happens. We all have these situations in our life, right, where sometimes the basic wisdom that you would apply in these types of situations doesn't quite seem to hit the mark. And, you're kind of left like, well, what do I do, right? Hi, my name is Amy. I'm a working mom and wife just trying to live as naturally as I can every day. So, in today's Tune In Tuesday, I want to talk about this really tough situation we find ourselves in where sometimes conventional wisdom and well intended things we hear for advice just doesn't really seem to apply. Okay, so I shared with you a couple of the current challenges I'm having in my career to kind of set the stage for this. These are really tough and challenging and quite honestly exhausting situations. It's the stuff that makes people want to update their resume, look forward to retirement, you name it, right? We're just over it. Like, seriously, who can work all day like this, day in and day out? And yet many of us do it all the time. So, more importantly, who wants to work like that anyway, right? It's stressful, it's frustrating, it's highly political, and you're like walking on eggshells. So much not fun. So, there is all kinds of wisdom out there. And I picked out a couple of these specifically because more than anything else in life, we can certainly find someone who has lots of job advice for us, and sometimes you'll hear these various things. So some of the things I've heard before is just sit steady in the boat. This will blow over soon. Okay, first, my boat is on fire and sinking right now. So I'm not sure sitting on it and waiting for it to blow over is a good idea. Secondly, shouldn't you be telling me to get a life jacket on instead of just sitting there? Okay, I get this advice is very well intended, and sometimes it is just best to hunker down and let the storm blow over, right? Okay, but this specifically area impacts my livelihood, so I'm not really wanting to just take my chances here, right? Another good tidbit of wisdom I've been told is just be a duck and let it roll off your back. Or another version of this is just you just need to have thicker skin. Oh wow. I think in general this might be really meaningful advice, right? Because sometimes we cannot always be so sensitive about things, but I don't think we should be discounting our emotional feelings about stuff, right? I think going numb to problems and challenges is really not healthy long term. And too much in our society is just suck it down. I also believe if something is really bothering you, we should be able to express that and not just bottle this up because it's going to explode sooner or later. This third wonderful piece of advice I've heard is just stay in the lane and focus on you. Well, here too, that's really great advice in general, right? It is great if you, at your job, to stay in your lane and always be developing yourself to be something better, right? However, here too, how many of us actually have jobs where we can actually achieve that? Really? The answer is, of course, none, because so many of our jobs are centered in teams and team environment, cross communication, that we just don't have the luxury of being by ourselves in our own little lane without talking or dealing with anyone else. Sometimes we just don't have a choice, right? And you got to get involved. The wisdom we get for how to deal with some situations is always well intended. And I do want to recognize that somewhere someone went through a situation, perhaps in their job, and they found success in thinking about being reincarnated as a duck, right? And that worked for them. I'm really happy it did. And I'm thankful for that. Now, how about we talk about what it really is helpful wisdom to apply in these situations that they're really super challenging. And for instance, in the case of our jobs, there's some direct livelihood impact there too. So for starters, most of the time, these are highly emotional situations. We can have all the thick skin we want, but deep inside, some of that stuff is just really crummy and it hurts. Okay, especially at work. It just hurts. We're still human, and it's mean. Okay, we may think we have to take it like a beating, but please don't ever discount how you feel or push it down and ignore it. Your feelings have value, and they should need to be expressed. Now, probably not expressed in the way of telling your boss to go pound sand or, telling him off in some way that ends you up on the other side of the employment door, but you need to sort through it and you need to heal from it, okay? And secondly, trust yourself. I think too often in these situations we start to question our own skill and our knowledge. We can be made to feel inadequate and even unable to find success, right? There is no one in this earth who doesn't have some wonderful talent or skill. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, okay? I firmly believe that in my heart. So regardless of what anyone says to you or about you, know in your heart you are who you really are. Trust your instincts to guide you on what is right and right thing to do for you. Now, sometimes we have to sort through the emotional stuff first to get clear on this, because if we don't, we could end up facing even more challenges. But working to get really clear on that and in our own being and feeling confident in that is one of the best ways to see a path forward in dealing with some of these types of icky, mean, whatever kind of situations, right? So, lastly, sometimes a situation is telling you loud and dramatically it is not for you, or it is time to move on. There are times when we have all done all of what we can do, and no matter what, it's just not going to work out. It is just toxic and it's bad. So be good to yourself in those situations and know in your heart what is right for you and what isn't. Okay? Honor that feeling and use your confidence to move towards things that do feel good and that lift you up and make you feel like the beautiful person that you are. Sometimes that takes time to get through too. In experiencing this so many times in our own career, I can tell you it is well-meaning to hear advice on what you should and shouldn't do. Okay? People are just trying to help. But when it is bad advice or it doesn't seem like it's applying to you, people are just trying to tell you enough so they don't really have to get involved because they don't want their own job on the line either, right? So this is why it's super important to know who you are and to have confidence in your own ability to navigate things with your own wisdom that you already possess. Okay? It is definitely okay to make mistakes, no matter who says differently. Okay? We grow from it. I believe the corporate team environments so many of us work in has made way too many things harder to work in than ever before. It is certainly more natural for us to be around others achieving common goals, but let's face it, sometimes there are just not so many nice people you encounter in that setting that make that pleasant. Take heart with the advice you get in navigating it, but more importantly, don't forgo your natural confidence and wisdom to move in what is right for you. Okay? My own personal advice on this is to consider that we always have to work, and sometimes, quite often, we work very hard. Since that is unavoidable, why not pour that energy into something that truly represents you and where you want to excel in life? It truly is the best way to get rid of that situation for good and have something that is 100% your own and representative of who you are, and it feels good in your heart. While paying for your life still, right? Paying for those bills, paying for that mortgage, and giving your kids that beautiful life. Now, if you're interested in knowing how to get started, reach out to me at dragonspinapothecary.com, that little chat feature. I'm happy to answer your questions and tell you what I do. and make it, you know, so one day we can all get out of that corporate world and actually live the life that we were meant to be, not most